The mockery.
Denmark will shoot first and ask questions later.
The Home Ministry needs to take an action.
Tariffs and economic sanctions.
The US and India have just announced a trade deal, and here's all you need to know. I am Mahima Sharma, and this episode of the evening show has 4 crucial segments. Benefit for India in signing the trade deal with the United States of America, Indian stance on Russian oil, benefits for the USA from deal, and why is the Indian opposition so vocal against it. After months and months of parleys and delays, Trump confirmed on Truth Social that it's finally happening. If I quickly look at the background, these high-level trade talks can be traced back to the joint statement of February 13, 2025, when a virtual summit between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump affirmed their intention to have a bilateral trade deal with a target to achieve USD 500 billion by the end of 2030. However, there were several lax restricting this deal, including the most repetitive claims by Trump on stopping the India-Pakistan war, even when the Indian side bluntly denies it, and the illogical tariffs on India alongside others. Uplifting from them, though the US just shook hands with India on a trade deal just after the EU-India trade deal. In this deal, the US tariffs on India were lowered to 18% from 50%, and India will hold no tariffs on imports from the USA. Now, these relative tariffs were assumed to fall to 25%, but then lowered to 18%, which implies that both economies will benefit from the agreement. America is the largest trading partner of India, with overall bilateral trades in goods and services of $190.1 billion for the calendar year of 2023. And India's exports to the US increased from $77.51 billion in 2024 to $86.51 billion in 2025, exporting around 7,174 commodities to the US. Now, the crucial items of this export include electrical machinery and equipment parts, natural or cultured pearls, precious or semi-precious stones, precious metals, clads with pre-metal and articles, pharmaceutical products, nuclear reactors, boilers, machineries and mechanical appliances, mineral fuels, mineral oils, and product of their distillation, and articles of iron or steel. Several other items which India exports are furniture, wood products, toys, textiles, animal products, sports equipment, and plastic and rubbers. Hence, the seller can expect more profits now. Even with the tariffs, the US side had a trade surplus in fiscal year 2025, but with lower tariffs, there will be more access to market and more employment in India. Now, manufacturing, not only manufacturing, but India also exports service sectors to US, which will be benefited with this deal. If we look into the union budget of this year, there was a specific tax vacation for foreign companies if they use Indian data centers. Further, the Indian goods worth $10 billion may get a zero duty entry into the US, because as per the US Annexure 3rd, which is potential tariff adjustments for aligned partners 2000, products including natural resources, coffee, tea, fruits such as bananas and oranges, tomatoes and fruit juices are eligible for reduced or zero duties. With the EU-India trade deal and the US-India trade deal combined, the market access has almost doubled, creating more opportunities for the countries involved. Coming to the Trump's claim that India will stop buying Russian oil, the Russian delegation has said that they have not heard any such thing from the Indian side. Hence, despite the deal, there is no predictability whether India will stop buying Russian oil. You see, Trump has this psychology of being boastful with even untrue facts, given that he's already scared of the midterm elections. It has been listed in the several reports that Trump repeatedly tried calling Prime Minister Modi, but he never gave any response. Well, that's not a concern for now because the trade deal is already finalized. Now let's look at the American side now. Earlier, the Indian government imposed reciprocal tariffs on the US, but it has all removed now. The foremost benefit here is $500 billion of purchases of US energy, transportation, technology, and agricultural products. Also, before you have any judgments, I'll specifically discuss agriculture in the last section of this segment. continuing with the US, the companies of Borbo, whiskey, luxury cars, solar cells, and machinery will also have increased market access and profits in the Indian markets. Further, there will be increased purchases of US petroleum, defense equipment, electronics, pharmaceuticals, telecom products, and aircraft. However, information on the accessibility of the Indian agricultural market is still not transparent. Earlier, the US emphasized gaining access for agricultural goods market, but India was negligent about it because of the genetically modified crops of corn, soybean, and blood-fed dairy products. It is still not clear if India will allow it because Piyush Goyal has made clear in the Lok Sabha that the farmer market of India will not be affected. Well, I'm waiting for the final documents to iron it out. Coming to the last segment of the episode, let's give a glimpse at the position of India, since it irritates me a little with their dramatic dilly-dally. The sole motive of Congress was to make Rahul Gandhi PM of India. So in the last few years, they first misled the people with several topics, like the adverse effects of demonetization or the Rafale deal corruption, then the Adani Ambani's growth, and the fake votes, defamation of PM Modi through the Epstein files, and lastly, reading the unpublished memoir of ex-army chief Narawani. But among all these waitlist moments was the one when Rahul visited a clothing manufacturer acting as a political influencer and concluded his video with the losses they make because of Trump tariffs. As someone who has a stand, you will think that he's from the opposition, the leader of opposition, of course, a blunderburst. I'll say, who is given an opportunity. Seeing no competition for it, he'll go against the ruling party for obvious reasons, but the man went against his own content and is now bad-mouthing the US-India trade deal. He has a lot of phrases for it, such as the PM is compromised, and I have summarized the US-India trade deal by now, but do you think it is lacking the Indian advantage? Because this guy indeed has strongly retaliated against it in the parliament. As for me, this is just a plant from a seed that NDA sowed when Ursula was attending lunch with the President and PM of India, along with several important personalities at one table. And there was no space for Rahul's dumb mushrooms. As a chef of stupid cuisine, he was upset. And this happened twice because prior to Ursula's visit, it was Putin's banquet. Neither Kharge nor Rahul was invited to it, but Tharoor attended it. So you know the reason for his actions now. Still, I have few questions for Rahul and the opposition who are hell-bent in removing Shri Narendra Modi as PM of India. Well, that's not gonna happen, but still, in more than a decade, have you come up with only this phrase, Narendra surrender? Is it even a phrase though? And don't you think to work on strategies instead? In short, you want your enemy to surrender. Which book are you reading? And which servant of yours, if I believe the words of Ghulam Nami Azad, is teaching you this nonsense? Concluding with that, this is the evening show by The Explicit, bringing an opinionated take on national and international affairs. Good night.